Good morning, people, and welcome to another Tell Me Tuesday stream with two of my besties, Hannah and Lisa, talking all things back to university with Windows devices, which is super, super important. And how are you this fine Tuesday, ladies?
I'm marvellous, AP. Absolutely marvellous. We're really looking forward to our chat today.
Yeah, that sounds good. We've got a friend in the chat too, Davey B. How are you, my friend? Good. It's been a while since you've been on, dude. You probably had better things to do, but that's all right. We're glad you're here this time. And the hostess with the mostess, the game show master herself, Miss Lisa Jones. How are you?
After that intro, I've got big shoes to fill here, AP. What's happening?
Well, I don't know, really. I thought we'd get on a stream and start talking about devices, right?
Yeah, you're being a bit nice to me. I'm scared.
No, don't. It won't last. Don't worry. It's okay. It won't last. It's all good. So it's been a while since I've been to university, clearly. But you've been to uni a little bit closer to today's date, Hannah, and hasn't it changed a lot? I mean, when I went to uni, they didn't have, or if you could afford a laptop, you were doing pretty well. It was basically a desktop machine, or they had computer labs in the uni, right? So none of this work from home business. It's go in and type your stuff up in the computer lab. And I guess when you were going, Hannah, it was a lot more mobile devices and stuff happening, but none of this kind of like online learning from home or not having to go to campus and that type of stuff. So it's certainly changed a lot. But I think the reason we wanted to do, excuse me, the back to uni with Windows devices stuff today is that there is so much choice, right? And I'm not great at making decisions. Grocery shopping for me is a scary experience. There's just too much to choose from. I just want milk. I just don't want to have to look at a whole fridge full of different ones. I just want to have the one that says milk on it. And so I can imagine it's quite a daunting experience for the general public out there who are not in the technology industry to go in and make an informed decision, but B, kind of narrowing down, how that's going to embrace their learning life. But what was your experience, before we get into it, what was your experience, Hannah, when you were choosing a device? Now, I think we know which device you had, but what was the process there for choosing that?
Yeah, for sure. So I've definitely mentioned it a few times on streams before that for the bulk of the time that I was at uni, I had a Surface Pro 2, which is going back a little while. I still have it in my house. It's not working at the moment, but I just can't get rid of it because I love it. But interestingly, when I kind of went from high school into university, I had, a traditional laptop form factor. It did me well for a really long time, but in terms of actually taking it to uni every day, being like, if I take my device, I have to take my charger. I'm going to have to sit near a PowerPoint, or I'm going to have to charge up during my lunch break, like whatever it was. And, I think it was one of those things that I really had like that classic, like if it's not broken, don't fix it kind of mentality. And I was just like, my laptop's still working. It's going okay. I think I had like, a really old version of Office on it as well. So all of those kinds of things where I was just like, it's going to be fine. And then I got my Surface Pro 2 because I started working in this job and my life was changed. The portability of it, the power of it, the battery life on it, even back then. And I think we're definitely going to talk about it in today's stream. We're going to talk about the price points of devices, but I think, investing in yourself, investing in your education and investing in the device that's going to help power you through that is really, really important.
Exactly. And I think that, I certainly, during training sessions, sometimes when people go, invest in your future, you kind of cringe and you're like, oh, that's so markety. But it is exactly that. It is an investment in your future, and it's worth putting more money into that than some other things that probably not going to be so beneficial. Now, Jonesy, I know that you're kind of on the other end of this, where you're having to go and almost time in a couple of years to purchase a device for your son. And I've got a picture that I want to put up on screen for what it must feel like sometimes when you walk into a store to choose a PC. Does it look something like that? Like it's all the same? I don't know. why is that white one $10,000 and why is that white one $500? I don't know. It certainly is, and I think that the choice paralysis is difficult. And even for myself, if someone was asking for recommendations, walking around going, "Geez, there's so many to choose from here." And I think typically, some of the people who come in, especially uni ones, is like, "Yeah, can I have the white one, please?" Because it looks like a computer, which is what I need. Also, I want the cheapest one. And they probably haven't thought the process through. And we've all been uni students, and like, money is not something that we have a lot of. Having said that, though, I think you could probably find it from the beer budget or whatever budget you want to borrow that money from to kind of get a better PC. Because I think a lot of the time, people are just going, "I just want some help, please. Please choose this device for me. Don't talk in those terms of speeds and feeds or nerd iCore RAM stuff. I just want to do my uni and get my degree." So today I thought we'd grab a couple of our fab partners and one device from us to kind of talk through, what you might not know about these devices and kind of what makes a great back to uni device. So we've got one from HP today. We've got a Surface, and we've got one from Lenovo. Now, I did have this in a different order, but I was told. It was suggested that Hannah would like to go first and talk about her device. Very, very passionate. So we're going to kick off with talking about why the Pro 8 is a great device for education.
Yes, and let's be real here. The real reason that I get to go first is because I talk a lot. So, if we need to hurry things up, then AP can just swap slides and be like, "You're done now, Hannah."
That's all right. Or you can post a fishing line in the comments, just wind it up,
Come on. David, please don't do that to me. But if necessary, please do as well. Please do. But I do, you guys know how much I love talking about Surface. My experience of studying using a Surface Pro 2 was amazing. And I just want everyone else to have as amazing experience. So obviously it's no longer the Surface Pro 2. We've come a really long way since then. We're now up to the Surface Pro 8. But a lot of those core values of Surface Pro have kind of remained the same throughout generations, but we've upgraded as times have changed and the world has modernized. I remember when I first started, I genuinely thought that I came up with the line, "It's the tablet that can replace your laptop." I said that to a customer and I was just like, "Oh, I've nailed this." And then I found out that it was on every single Expert Zone course I'd done on Surface. So Expert Zone, guys, the power of it and what just subconsciously sinks in there. We've got to pause. Lisa, are you okay? You've had the giggles the whole time.
That is
just here, guys.
Thing ever. That is my favorite thing ever, Hannah. But please continue, please.
Crushed it. Nailed it. So, of course, Surface Pro has always been that tablet that can replace your laptop. It's got the power that you need and the different form factors that you need to use it in as well. And I think, I studied music when I was at uni, so I was using production software, notation software, some pretty heavy duty things. So that laptop that I had before my Surface Pro, it was like a full 17-inch, believe it or not, back in the day.
Wow.
It was a full 17-inch. I was gonna confidently say it was an i7 processor because it was great at the time, but I actually think it was probably like a Pentium processor just because of the time in which I bought it. / my parents bought it for me. Thanks, Mum and Dad. Let's not take credit for that. But and going from something so big and chunky that was a bit of a hassle to take around to something that could do the same thing that I could literally fit in my handbag or my backpack, it really changed the way I did things. I look back in my OneDrive now and I have all of my notes, all of my assignments from my second year of uni right through to my fourth, nothing from the first year because I clearly wasn't using technology effectively to help with my studies. So having something, that's small, portable, being able to use digital ink, being able to use OneNote, all of those amazing things, use it as a tablet, use it as pen and paper with handwriting, that iconic type cover, Signature Pro keyboard, as it's now called, having that, being able to use it as a laptop, and then of course plugging it into external monitors, which is how I love to use my Surface now. So many different ways. And, you know, and talking about that price point that we mentioned earlier, it just has so much value. And I want to tell everybody this and, you know, make that really clear. As AP said, you know, that investment sounds a little bit cheesy, but in spending like a few $100 more, and I know that that's a lot, but for me, it meant a device that I used for the rest of my study instead of having to replace a device every year, which would have been more expensive in the long run. So many different ways you can use Surface. So many great things about the Pro 8, you know, those 2 Thunderbolt 4 USB-C ports. So you can use it with more of that new Surface Slim Pen 2 experience. Absolutely the perfect device for uni in my eyes. But we have some other great devices we want to talk through today as well.
We sure do. Before we move on, I just can't believe how the Pro devices have kind of evolved. Like the principle is still quite the same, you know, but now we're here so many years later and they're an absolute weapon. Like you could, you know, i7 with all of that battery life, you know, possibilities, the RAM options and 2 monitors, and you can plug, you know, a GPU in for, you know, the Thunderbolt ports. Like, I can't think of, you know, we'll talk about form factor. This is a perfect form factor. If you'd have told me that 10 years ago, I would have been, I don't think we can do it. Like, I don't think anyone can do it. And look where we are now. So that's super impressive. Now, there's lots of other form factors.
Can I just say one more thing? Sorry. I was just like, I'm done now, but I'm like, actually, I'm not. That's me when I talk about Surface. It's very much but wait, there's more, because there is always so much more. But before we jump on form factors, I do just want to shout out the other thing that I think is really unique to Surface Pro 8, which is the rear-facing camera. Definitely something that I've shouted out a few times, but obviously on the Surface Go 3 and the Surface Pro 8, you do have that world-facing camera, and it's something I use heaps when I studied. I just prop my Surface Pro in front of me, go into OneNote, I'll be tip-tap typing away or handwriting my notes, but I'd also be videoing that lecture at the same time. And I'm sure we've kind of all had that moment where we're writing notes in a meeting or in a class or whatever, and you look at it later and go, what is that? Why did I write that down? What does that actually mean? Because I was videoing my lectures in OneNote, you can then go back and, like, as you watch the video back, it shows you, like, it highlights the notes for you. I hope you get what I mean by my hand gestures here.
Yes. If you hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have known what you're talking about.
Exactly. So, you know, when it comes up and it does that, it helps contextualize it, and it really, really helped with my learning. So that is, you know, another huge shout out I have for the Surface Pro family as well.
That's awesome. And that's a perfect segue into something that I was going to say, but forgot to say, but have now remembered to say, that your story about the video recording and that kind of business is, you know, it would be really frustrating if you sat down in your lecture and you had, you know, a less suitable device that took a bit longer to boot up, and then you've missed recording it, but also storage too. You know, if you'd gone, oh, I don't know if I, you know, I'll save all of this, and it's like, well, you know, if you'd invested a bit more money into it, you would have had all of your videos on your drive, that kind of stuff as well too. I think probably just doesn't tick through people's heads, you know, when they're thinking about a device. But speaking of devices, and the device queen herself, Miss Lisa Jones, with a video on the socials and on Expert Zone on this particular device. An excellent job. So Jonesy, our friends at Lenovo kindly shared one of these devices with us, and I would like you to tell us a little bit about it, because I think it looks awesome, and it's not your traditional 2-in-1. I think it's probably a 360 device. So I'm keen to know, because there's lots of stuff on the screen, Jonesy, and I'm not sure what it means.
So much. So AP, as you said, I was lucky enough to get my hands on one of these great Lenovo Yoga 7i devices. And this device was co-engineered by Lenovo and Intel to provide the ultimate experience for life and work on the go. So it provides, you know, versatile portability and enhances productivity thanks to the 11th gen Intel Core i5 processors. So that is one of the biggest shouts. But if we're talking about the device in itself, it has a 360-degree hinge, which is awesome. And it just provides that stability when you're going from, your laptop to your tablet mode. So it's pretty seamless, the hinge, where you can just turn it right around 360 degrees and then go right back. And it's just very stable. It's not like clunky or, when you look at hinges, I always get, a bit nervous that they're going to be a little bit, hard to move around and stuff like that. But it's definitely not with this device. Probably another huge shout out with this is that it actually has Dolby Vision HDR inspired by cinema technology. So what that means is that the contrast and the colors will just pop even if you've got darker tones on the screen. And it has front-facing Dolby Atmos speaker system in there. So for any laptop producers out there, it'll give you great audio reference when you're mixing down tracks and stuff like that. So another great, huge shout out. One of my absolute favorite things is the webcam privacy shutter. So on the front of this device, it actually has a shutter that will block off your webcam when it's not in use. So this is amazing for anyone out there that's a little bit like me and is all about, the personal safety and the privacy with using a webcam. This is probably one of the things that drew me towards this device. It's just awesome. It also has sensors that register when you walk away from your device. So it automatically, it logs you out so your work can stay private. So there's no, like we deal with, some private information around, products and stuff like that. As soon as we walk away from the device, it automatically logs us off. So no one can see that. But then when we come back in, it's automatically picked up, like our presence is picked up by the webcam, logging us straight back in and getting us back into our, keeping us productive, getting us back into our workday. So that's probably one of my favorite things. There's so many cool things to talk about here. So stop me if I'm going too crazy.
No, that's all right. I just was thinking that's a really clever thing, that webcam privacy shutter, because like a couple of years ago, wasn't really an issue so much, right? Or people were concerned about it, but they're not as concerned about it as they are now. And the fact that that's kind of built into the hardware, right? Because what I wanted to sort of do, which we've all done, I think a great job of today, is to kind of just shy away from like the specs and stuff. But this is kind of a feature built into this device. And for someone who's particularly concerned about that, that's a deal maker, I think, for having that built in. The other thing I was going to ask you too, Jonesy, is so battery life. We're talking uni today, so moving around, battery life is a big issue. You were telling me before we were live, this has got a quick charge or a fast charge functionality.
So it's actually called Rapid Charge Express. And I'm going to be honest, when I had a look at this device, I actually reached out to Hannah and I was like, wait, is this correct? Like, I didn't, really, like when I first saw it, I thought, no, that's impossible. So essentially, if you find yourself in a position where, you're running out of battery, with the Rapid Charge Express, if you plug it in for a period of at least 15 minutes, you will actually get up to 2 hours of use.
Right.
It's not just fast charge. It's not just rapid charge. It's Rapid Charge Express. How good is that? When we were talking about it, I was just like, can't possibly. But no, I think that's really impressive. And like for uni, for taking it out and about, for work life, for whatever, that fast charging capability, we see it in so many different ways and forms across different devices. 15 minutes of juice, you can get 2 hours of battery life. It's amazing.
Yeah. And just one other shout out here, I have to call this out, is that with this device, users have the ability to toggle between performance modes. So they can go to intelligent cooling mode, which automatically adjusts the performance to extend the battery life for up to 15 to 20%. So having that ability to toggle between those different performance modes will extend that battery life a little bit more as well. So I think this is a great shout out, especially for uni students, and that's what we're talking about today, because if you find yourself at home where you're like at uni, sorry, and you're struggling with that battery life and you can't get, to a plug to plug it in for that 15 minutes, you can, toggle between those performance modes and it will help extend that battery life, which is it's a great shout. And one more final thing, AP, and then I'll let you talk about your pick. You know me, I'm all about the colors.
I knew. I almost thought you were going to get through without mentioning color for once.
I can never get through it. So when I looked at this device, I was like, I always look at them and say, can I see myself using this? Can I see it? And I was like, no, I don't think I can. But then I saw the colors and I was like, yep, I'm sold. So this comes in a very sophisticated dark moss color, which when I think about that, I was like, oh, what's dark moss? But in person, it's an amazing color. It looks sophisticated. It's definitely something that I could, get on board. And of course, we also have the classic slate gray color as well. So you have that choice between the two different colors for this device.
That is excellent. What an excellent selection of stuff that we've gone through today. Thank you, Jonesy. That was fantastic.
Can I pretty please add one more fun fact? I'm sorry.
Sure
I know I said I wouldn't do this, but just a fun fact I've picked up over the years and in my time at Lenovo, in terms of the naming conventions, why is it called a Yoga 7? Well, it's because of where it sits in the Lenovo device family. So kind of entry level is 1, and then we go 3, 5, 7, and 9. So 9 is the most premium. So this is kind of like your mid to upper mid-range entry premium, whatever you want to call it. So if you are interested in a device like this, but maybe you have some room in your budget either way, if this device is just a little bit too far out of your price range, then you could look at a Yoga 5 device. Or if you're just like, oh, there's a couple more things I want, there's a couple of things I've seen that are different, then you might go up to a Yoga 9 series.
Great shout.
Can
I also just say, sorry, AP, I have to.
No, you're fine. It's okay.
Thank you, Lauren. She says she respects the color priority. That's what it's all about, people.
Lauren knows.
Lauren does know. And that is a perfect segue. Thank you, Jonesy, to talk about HP. So thank you, Lauren from HP is even in with us today on the stream, in the chat. And thank you very much for getting us all the info for this spectacular device, the HP Pavilion X360 14 convertible PC. It's quite a long name, Lauren, but with color priority, there's some really cool stuff. So, warm gold, spruce blue are some of the colors that this awesome machine
I love that spruce
is available in. It does look good, doesn't it? It looks amazing. I'm not usually a colors person, but now you've pointed that out. I'm like, yeah, I love that. No, don't be sorry, Lauren.
I said that too. I got a new car last year, went to a car yard, and they're just like, is color something that's important to you? I was just like, nah, not really. And then they showed me like this like bright blue car with brown and tan interior, and I was like, color is important to me. I don't like this.
Yes.
I don't want to drive that car. So, while we all say, no, I didn't think it's a priority. I think when you're met with like a beautiful looking spruce blue device on display, you're like, this is a bit of me. I'm really into this.
I'll have that. I'm already invested.
What I've been saying for the last 2 years, guys. Come on.
Oh, I don't know, Jonesy. Anyway, back to the stream. The 360, obviously, the X360 is talking about the hinge. So the X360 14 really adapts nicely to your view, which I think is really important, right? Because we're talking about in a university space here. So it's ultimately an extremely flexible device, right? So it's still a compact size, but you can run that in laptop mode. You can stream using the reverse mode or intent mode, or you can write on it as a tablet because it comes with a HP rechargeable tilt pen. So there's 4 modes, and I'm thinking like, when you're out and about, even though it's not a 2-in-1 device, and HP do have some of those with a kickstand, putting it into that tent mode and just watching something back, or just having a break from uni and catching up or binging out on some Netflix or something like that is really important to be able to do that, and then flip back into that laptop mode, because laptop form factor is still really popular with people. So it's important that it can do all of those things. But when it comes to entertainment, if we sort of go down that path as well, it's a great screen. So it's full HD, four-sided micro edge display. And so what that means is that for the compactness of the device, the screen, they're making the best use of the screen size in the chassis of the device, which is cool because you don't want to be carrying around stuff you don't need to. And that's kind of adding to that portability factor, which is really important for university students as well. So lots of cool things that you would expect from such a high quality brand like HP. Got Intel iCore processors and Iris Xe graphics as well too. So that's something new, really, really powerful graphics processor that's in there. And along the same stream, we talked about, how important, webcams are before on devices, and also the audio on your device is super important as well these days. It sort of was, I think, a thing in the past, Hannah, like your car story, it's like, do you care about what it sounds like? Nah. I don't know, do I? And then when you have a device and the speakers are substandard or the sound is just not loud enough, it becomes a real issue. So there's dual audio by Bang & Olufsen. So it's that it's going to sound amazing. So this device as well too, if you're thinking about like staying connected, the portability, it's got Wi-Fi 6. So that means that it's going to go to all the latest protocols and you're going to get the absolute best speed you can. And, when it returns to normal, we go back to uni and there's more people in the one room using the Wi-Fi. What happens when there's more there, you get less bandwidth. So having that strong connection is super, super important. And also what I love that I didn't know that I now know is that you've got fast charge, HP fast charge. So you can go from 0 to 50% in 30 minutes. So that's pretty amazing, right? Again, my type of feature, because I'm not real great at remembering things in general, and charging devices is another thing that I'm not particularly good at remembering to do. But speaking to that, a couple of other things that I wanted to call out is the security on the device as well too. So it's got a 3D fingerprint reader, which aligns with Windows Hello. So not only have you got all this cool stuff where you can, watch some content, have a great experience whilst you're studying, staying connected, but you can also make sure that your device is secure as well too. And that's enterprise grade security. You can run that within the university systems. And sometimes it's nice, I still quite like the fingerprint thing. It makes sense to me. It's right next to the mouse pad, just swipe to sign in. If you're not too much into the face authentication, even though it's pretty amazing on most devices, it's kind of nice to have a bit of, something different, I guess, to experience sometimes, or something that's a bit more personal.
For sure, AP. And I mean, I don't know what the case is in Australia, but here at the moment at education institutions, you have to be wearing a mask when you're in class at the moment. And that's probably not going to work with Windows Hello facial recognition. So having a fingerprint reader on devices is actually incredibly useful at this point of life that we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a massive shout. And the last thing I wanted to point out is, and I think this is a super cool feature, is that it's got Amazon Alexa voice service built in. So that's really, really cool. So it's not an addition that you need to do it. It's part of the hardware. So you can just go, hey, do this. Remind me to charge my device, please, before you go flat. If only that was a thing, that would be great. It probably is a thing. Hopefully it will be a thing a little bit later on down the track. So some really fantastic devices today, and it really does just show, the engineering power of all the different companies. It's not just about tech specs. They're important, but it's about functionality and how you're going to learn and how you, and also maybe the flexibility to be able to do some stuff that you didn't think was possible potentially before. Because if you'd said to me 5 years ago, take a tablet 2-in-1 there, and I'll be like, and not charge it. Really? Really not charge it? So there's some pretty cool stuff there. But what's been your favorite thing that wasn't your subject today, ladies? I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but it's just for fun. So what's something that you learned that's new that wasn't part of your section today as we round this out?
Spruce
Don't
blue.
speak at once.
Spruce blue has to be
blue.
mine. I'm sold. I think the whole time you've been talking AP, I've actually just been looking at that, being like, oh, maybe I will, just go out to my local retailers today and just have a look, see it in person, just touch it. It looks amazing. I really like that color. I am with Jonesy in the color boat. It's really important. And especially like on the keyboard, if you're looking at a device all the time, I really love that like near bezel-less display as well. Really, really beautiful. A really nice device, and it's some great color options for that Lenovo device as well.
Yep, I was really thinking we could get something educational out of that, but we've gone with color.
I'm sorry
for both. I can see Jonesy was about to say color as well too. Damn it, I was about to say color as well.
I know you're gonna say something about this, but I think going back to what you just said, AP, like we do often in this role focus so heavy on tech specs. But I think the way that, for me, I'm more excited now to go out and have a look at these different devices because of those features that we don't always talk about. Like a 360-degree hinge. I never would have thought about that. Like it's not really part of the tech specs before. So I think just having a new way of thinking about different devices, I think that's what I'm taking most away from today.
Yeah, absolutely. And in all seriousness, I'm kind of glad that you brought that up because that's what it's all about, right? Windows is the driver in there and it does lots of amazing things, but it's got to be able to be flexible to work. So yes, and Lauren, the real challenge is getting a salesperson to say spruce blue.
Why wouldn't they?
Right.
I don't know. I would say spruce blue. I would take that as a challenge to say it as many times as a conversation as I could.
Yeah, it just sounds so much more premium than would you like the blue one?
Yeah. Would you like the spruce blue one? I love that so much. Because I really liked what you were saying as well, Lisa. Like, for BYOD from education institutions, you often get a sheet of like, you need this spec, you need this, you need that, you need that. So what is it that differentiates the devices, right? It's all of the stuff that we've talked about today. And I think, to help you decide on what it is you want, what it is you need, think about all of the other random stuff you do in the day. Think about how much time you'll spend watching Netflix or playing video games or Candy Crush or whatever it may be, and get that one device to rule them all, so you can really get the most out of your money. And I think we've covered some pretty awesome devices and some awesome additional fun things today.
Yeah,
absolutely. Cool. Well, thank you both.
Sorry, AP. I just got to shout out this comment from Lauren. So tech specs can be such a blur. Features and benefits is what we really need to know. 100%. I'm right there with you. And thank you so much for tuning in, Lauren, and listening to us babble.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
Really great.
Yeah, absolutely. We should get Lauren on the stream next time. We're talking about devices, I think. She can be an honorary guest. So thank you, ladies, as always, for bringing the professionalism to this stream. And thank you, everyone, for joining. So just to remember to make sure that you are following us on all of our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. Twitter. Thank you. I almost got them all. It's been great, and keep it locked to Expert Zone. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.